A lot of people think that when they've relapsed that it's the end, that they're done, that there's no coming back from this. And I'm here to tell you today that there is. There's a way out. So if you've relapsed, whether it was a day ago, a week ago, a year ago, this video's for you. Please watch it all the way through. Relapsing can be an incredibly devastating thing, but I'm here to tell you guys that it doesn't have to be the end. In particular, if it was a recent relapse. The most important thing with a relapse is to reach out and be honest with at least one person. I'm not saying you have to make a post on Facebook and tell the world that you've relapsed or that you overdosed. I'm not saying that you got to go and tell your mom that you relapsed for the 10th time. You don't necessarily have to do that right away. But what you do need to do is to be honest with yourself and be honest with another person. And for a lot of people, that person is me. Guys, if you have recently relapsed, please hit that send message button at the top of my page. We can keep it confidential. I will not reach out and tell your family unless you want me to, because at some point you may want to talk to your family about it, and if you're worried about bringing it up to them, sometimes I can help kind of bridge that gap and break the ice a little bit. But if you relapse, the most important thing is to be honest with one person. And then step number 2 after you've relapsed is to come up with a plan. Like, what are you going to do to change this? Are you going to start going to meetings again? Do you need to go to a detox? Are you going to withdraw? Because if you're going to withdraw, you probably want to look into some options for a detox. And I can especially help with that. I have rehab and recovery resources across the entire country available with or without insurance. So again, message me if you need more information on that. So you need to come up with a plan of what you're going to do. Once you've came up with your plan and you've reached out to me, you've come up with your plan, next is like, okay, so when do I tell my family? Well, that varies for a lot of different people. Maybe you keep it to yourself forever. You don't necessarily have to tell them you've relapsed as long as you were honest with at least one other person. Your recovery is primarily and only your business. And unfortunately, I've seen a lot of people that hid their relapse for weeks, months, or years at a time because they were worried about the shame and stigma that came along with admitting they relapsed. And there shouldn't be that shame or stigma. But that's why I always tell people that, guys, if it's going to keep you from getting help, be honest with at least one person. You don't have to tell the whole world. Now, if and when you're ready to tell your family, these are a couple tips and tricks that I have to bring up the conversation. I think that it starts with honesty. Like when you're ready to tell them, I think just being honest right away is the best thing to do. And one thing that you can do is to start out the conversation with something positive. So this again helps that if you are already clean again, like say you relapsed 3 months ago, you reached out to me, you got help, and you've been clean for 2 months, that's great. You can tell them and be like, hey, I've got 2 months clean again. I did relapse a while ago, but I did get some help. So start out with something positive. So if you haven't gotten help yet and you're still using, what you can start off with is like, hey, I relapsed. Mom, I'm really sorry. I didn't want to, I didn't mean to, and I don't want to live this way. But I did take the steps to get help. I've reached out to Richie Weber on Facebook, and he's trying to help me find a place to get clean and sober. So start out with something positive. If you're going to tell your family, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whatever it may be, they need to see action, right? They need to see the steps that you are taking to make sure that that relapse doesn't turn into another year of you using, that relapse doesn't turn into you overdosing and dying. So start out with something positive. After that, just be honest. And the most important thing with this to keep in mind as well, too, guys, is this. Don't expect an overly positive reaction. Even if they support you, they may cry, they may be upset, they may even be a little bit angry. But typically, if you're taking the steps you need to get clean and stay clean, such as reaching out to me for help, going to meetings, going to therapy, doing counseling, whatever it may be, they're going to respect that in the end. But just keep in mind that, they might cry. Like, they've been through a lot, and we put our loved ones through a lot. So remember that we're going to have to earn their trust back, and that's perfectly okay. We can't expect them to trust us again right away. I need you guys to do me a favor. Down in the comments, I want those that are willing to be honest and willing to be vulnerable to talk about a time that you've relapsed. I've had multiple relapses before I finally got clean for good. And I think it's important that we're more honest about this. So if you're willing to talk about it, please, in the comments, talk about a time you relapsed and how you got clean and sober. Or if you've relapsed now, reach out to me for help. Or if you're willing to talk about it, let's talk about it. Most importantly, let's just let people know that they're not alone. Relapse happens often. It doesn't have to be the end of the road, and that's what I'm here for. So if you've relapsed, please send me a message, leave a comment down below, and make sure you guys like this video and share this video. Let's get this out to as many people as possible. Thanks, guys.